Loved the fight, but that corner where they were idiots.
As well, Daniel Dubois, Filip Hrgovic, that is for the vacant IBF title. Thank you. Yeah, but do you know what I mean?
Do you want to know who the mole is?
Absolutely, yeah, come on.
His dad and his brother. They are the mole.
Wow. Does Adam Azim then go for the Dalton Smith fight straight after that, or you think he needs a little bit more development? He needs Hello and welcome to Talk Boxing. This is episode number 67. Now, Simon Jordan is away, sunning himself, so we thought who better to get in than the one, Mr. Johnny Nelson. Johnny, how are you, mate?
I'm his stunt double, aren't I?
Yeah, you twin.
Yeah, separated at birth, man. Yeah, I'm good. It's the end to a long week.
Absolutely,
cool.
Absolutely. But like this Easter weekend is like, or Easter week is like the Wednesday is like a Tuesday, Thursday is like a Wednesday. It's long, isn't it?
I've lost days. I've lost days. I don't realize what day we're actually on, but it's good to just be full of boxing knowledge, excitement, and everything that's happened.
Well, it has been an exciting week, isn't it? Because like Fabio, Wardley, Frazer, Clarke topped the bill last night. We was there. We've been there all week actually. Been great entertainment. But let's get stuck into the top of the bill first of all. We've got to talk about that, Johnny. For me, I think that was one of the best heavyweight fights that I've actually been present at, and one of the best British heavyweight title fights that there's probably ever been. I mean, that was insane what them guys showed.
There's been a few heavyweight dramas that have been recorded at a domestic level, but with these guys here, there was so much jeopardy involved. Frazer Clarke, obviously, because of his pedigree and because of the expectation when he turned professional, he should be the guy that's in the position of Fabio. Fabio, that guy that's come through with no pedigree to do what he's done. Again, you've got the weight of the shoulders on Frazer Clarke, and Fabio is just living life and making the most of it. I tell you one thing, Fabio has gone up in my estimation so much because he showed grit, determination, stamina. He showed want and desire, and he was in there against Frazer. And every time he hit Frazer, you know, Frazer looked more hurt than when Frazer hit him. Frazer had to dig in deep. It was his baptism of fire. All of a sudden, he was in a 12-rounder. He'd stepped up. He was lacking in professional experience against a guy that had more professional experience than he did. So there was a lot of ifs and buts. Before the fight, I said, if I didn't know what Frazer was doing behind closed doors, I'd say Fabio. But because I do, and I knew the people he'd been sparring with, you know, all the way for years, all these top heavyweights we're seeing there, Frazer's been in with them sparring, but he's just not done it in public. So because I knew that was the only reason why I was going for him, because when people are talking about his amateur pedigree, it don't mean anything. I had 13 amateur fights. I won 3. But when I turned pro, the amount of national champions and Olympic champions that I beat as a professional, and people don't understand it. So I said, don't put too much emphasis on that. The only reason why I'm going for Frazer is because I know what he's done behind closed doors in regards to preparation for years, not just for this fight. But what a fight. Both guys, for the pace of heavyweights, leaving it all in the ring. And I mean, Frazer was slumped in a corner when the bell had gone. You know, Fabio, blood all over his face. He stood there, and I thought, what a couple of warriors. I
mean, the character that they both showed was absolutely insane, wasn't it? You go from the back to 4th round on, you're looking at them both, you go, they're both actually spent here. Yeah. They've both sort of all gone in. Yeah. Then Frazer goes over in the 5th round and the bell saves him effectively. He gets up. It was quite a heavy knockdown. He gets up, the bell goes, and you think, right, this is it. This is where now Fabio Wardley's going to jump on him, take him out, because he's wild, like you say. He's a little bit more reckless.
Unpredictable. He's
unpredictable. Yeah. Exactly that. Because he comes from that white collar background, you know, he's not as seasoned, but he sort of rolls the dice and he loves getting down, biting down on his gums. That's his fight. Frazer comes out, takes over again, and it was like edgy as seat stuff where you go, just when you think one guy's getting hold of it, the other guy comes back. And from when you get into the penultimate rounds, 10, 11, 12, you go, now these guys are like they're walking on stilts, and the physicalities go out of it, and he goes, now it comes down to the mental strength. Who wants it? People don't understand that side of it. You go, when you physically can't do no more, it's about who wants it the most, who can take themselves to that dark place that you go, you know, when you use that word like insanity, that's what the fighters go through. That it's just insane what they go through. That mental strength is incredible.
And that's why both fighters were stubborn for different reasons. Frazer was stubborn because he's thinking, I can't lose to this guy. Yeah. I can't let this guy stop me. That was Frazer's argument. For Fabio, Fabio's thinking, I can't lose to this guy because you know what? Look at what I've done. So I'm doing it so well. So you've got to think about this. Frazer, when he's fighting, when he's in there, his skills and his basics are what got him through. The basics that got him through, that pedigree got him through. What got Fabio through was his youth. He had youth, he had more energy, he had more unpredictable energy to put it on him. It's just that he lost his shape the last 3 or 4 rounds. And when he did that, that lost him the fight.
Yeah, he did lose his shape, but it was just when you thought that he's lost his shape and he looks like he's going and the hands were down and you could see him, like, you could see what was going through his head. He just, like, he's got this mental strength where he can bite down and come back. And like you say, Johnny, I think that the more effective work was coming from Fabio Wardley, but the shape was with Frazer Clarke. So it was one of those, what you liked, who you thought was going to win. The draw, I believe, was the right decision because...
With looking at the fight, the way it went, it was swings and roundabouts. Frazer started off with a nice, stunning, authoritative jab. And I thought, oh, nice one here. And Fabio, first round, kind of gave it away. Second round, kind of gave it away. The jab for Frazer was always his key. At times he neglected it. And that's when Fabio came in and catching him with shots, hurting him, not just to the head, but to the body as well. And obviously Frazer's like a professional experience with the extra rounds. You know sometimes you've got to hustle your way through when you're hurt. And you could always tell when Frazer was hurt. He backed up a bit. He took the elbows in the rib cage when he was hurt with body shots. When he was hit with a good shot, he didn't try and front it out. He backed up, but still kept his shape. And because of that pedigree and kept his shape, that saved him.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to fight number 2, and when they fight, and the reason why I say if is this, Fabio is still champion. And that was a tough fight for him. So now he's thinking, well, I've done it, and if I don't have to do it again, should I? So unless they offer him ridiculous dough, you might say, nah, I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
And what?
Yeah.
And so for Frazer, Frazer's frustrated because he had a massive reality check as if to say, 1, I've got to respect this man. Now, I didn't give him respect I didn't really give him before. Then 2, I should be beating guys like this. If the fight does happen, I think the fight will pick up from round 13 and it'll be all over again, man.
Totally agree with you. I mean, like, Wardley was at his most dangerous when he was hurt. You know, he reminds me of like a Nigel Benn type character where you go, that's when you got to be careful. You know, because when he was hurt, that's when he was coming back with Frazer. Like, I want to get into the scorecards. What did you make of the scorecards? I think it was 114, 113,
yeah.
And then they had the 113, 113. It was 115, 112 in favour of Clarke. I mean, that is insane when you think he lost the point, he was knocked down. You go, how did they come up with that score?
And unfortunately, again, and I'll always go back to the same argument, you know, judges need to be held accountable for their decision making, and they're not through a third party. They need to be sat down in front of somebody, and it's their face, it's their words to say why they scored it, how they scored it, and you'll get less discrepancies when that happens. At the moment, it's just I can't remember the judge's name, but we remember the score. Next week, we'll forget the score. We'll just know there was questionable judging. But
do you think there's a problem with the judging in boxing? Like, what I'm saying is, in recent times, you look at some of the scorecards and you go, like, even if the right guys won, you go, how have they come to that conclusion that it's been a 118, 111? You go, when you got a fight that went down to the wire that could have gone either way. I mean, what is going on with it? Do they need to be held accountable? Because you're talking about people's futures, people's livelihoods.
Yeah, and that's what bothers me about this. I'm always on the side of the fighter. And we've seen it before. We've been at this game long enough where we've seen some disgusting decisions and point scoring done. And I always say, you get the judge on camera, like I'm on camera there, and you're interviewing the judge, whoever judged it, and say, you tell me why you scored like that, round for round. Let's have a look at that fight. It doesn't happen. What happens is you're talking through an official that represents the governing body. So therefore, the person's, you can't see the person. I think it was Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. Nobody remembers the judge's name, but you remember sometimes.
Well, the first one was a draw. The first fight was a draw. And the second fight was closer. Because the first fight I thought Lennox won quite clearly. And the second fight I thought was closer. And they scored it, obviously, in Lennox's favour.
And that's what I'm saying. So these people, when they do this, they need to be held accountable. And if they're held accountable, then maybe we can see it through their eyes and see what they saw.
Sure.
But until they're held accountable, this will keep happening. And there'll be a big stink up again in the future, and it's going to be the same argument all over again. I've always had that argument in regards to this.
Sure. I mean, the rematch, does that warrant a stadium fight? Could you see that at, say, like Ipswich Stadium? I mean, Wardley's got a fantastic fan base, as has Frazer, Clarke. But now, I mean, that has just grown. Everyone I'm speaking to, just your casual fan, is like, mate, what a fight. Unbelievable. Like, when you put on fights like that, you go like, that your fan base grows unbelievably.
Ipswich was probably empty last night. Ipswich have no headline fighters to make them feel proud, especially a heavyweight. When I walked down the ramp, we were doing a piece to camera. On one side it was the Ipswich, the Wardley fans. The other side it was the Clarke fans, and it was like, I felt like Moses, man, opening the sea, and it was like, it was wicked. And I think if they do a rematch, I think Ipswich at the football ground is where it should be.
Yeah.
So it's a case of, you know, it's usually the business that spoils the show. This is show business, and will it happen? I hope it does. Would I be surprised if it didn't happen? No, I wouldn't be.
Well, listen, look, we're going to talk about the rest of the undercard in a minute, but I want to get into what happened halfway through that fight when they had a fight announcement with Harlem Eubank and Adam Azim.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you make of that? Were you surprised? Dalton Smith has obviously been calling him out. Are you surprised at the decision from Ben Shalom and Adam Azim? I mean, it's a good fight.
I'm glad of the decision. I'm glad of the decision because Adam Azim, I think he's a very talented fighter, and his talent has gotten to where it is, but he's inexperienced, and so his experience doesn't match his ability. So until they measure up, then you can put him in deep water, because when you're in deep water, you've got to swim in all shapes and sizes. When I saw Dalton Smith perform the week before, the first thing I said was, do not put Adam with him yet. Adam's a young man. Dalton's like 26, 27. He's a mature man. He's seasoned. The way he navigated that fight, I thought, you know far too much. You've had far too much experience to be getting in with Adam, who is such a talent, but it's just not time yet. Yeah, and it's not that's not a bad thing, because I said this to Adam last night. I was up and said, yo, it's coming from a good place. You're a good fighter, and what you've achieved is mad. So get your experience to match your ability. So when they shouted out against Harlem Eubank, perfect. It's a name. Chris has got involved. Senior's got involved, which again, it brings out something, that sort of authority about it. And it's a name. It
brings eyeballs to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I think for Adam, again, you know, to get wisdom, you've got to go through experiences, good and bad. So therefore, he's got to get a few shapes and sizes, a few wrists to get him that experience, to then eventually put him in with him and Dalton Smith to fight together. I get that.
Does he beat Harlem Eubank?
I think he beats him. I think it's too.
I mean, it's a good fight. That I think it's a good fight.
He's naturally strong. He's naturally reactive, and this is why he's in the position he's in. He has a lot of natural ability, but not enough professional experience and maturity. So therefore, this is a good stepping stone to get him the experience and maturity.
Does Adam Azim then go for the Dalton Smith fight straight after that, or you think he needs a little bit more development? He needs a bit more time.
Yeah, as I said, you have to go a few shapes and sizes, and I think I'd probably leave it here, but make sure the boy's busy. Make sure he's in there. You know, he's getting more seasoned, and it's coming from a good place. I like Adam. I think he's a great kid, and he's a great talent.
Listen, it was a great show last night. As you said, we've talked about the top of the bill, but the undercard as well. All of the undercard actually was absolutely insane. I've got to talk about Ben Whittaker. He's big noise at the moment. He's going viral on everything he does. He was in against Leon Willings, a guy that he was expected to take out. Yeah. Not a lot of people were giving Willings the credit that he deserves in that fight. I think more people were talking about Ben Whittaker and maybe the lack of punch power. Was he not as good as what we thought? I think, yes, he is as good as what we thought. And we'll talk about the showboating, etc. in a minute. But I think his performance was exceptional. But people are not giving Leon Willings enough credit for the performance he put in after 9 days' notice.
So because it was the Ben Whittaker show, you know, Ben has put himself in a position where you are watching him to win or lose. And he's probably one of the most popular fighters, if not the most popular fighter coming out of the UK. And he's not even got a title. You know, he's doing all the right things to put himself in all the right places. So now where everybody's looking at his performance, what he's about, can he showboat? Can he mug somebody off? Can he fight? Last night, the fight itself, I think, was the best thing that could have happened to him, to go through the 8 rounds, have him to box and show his boxing skill and discipline. And we saw more variation from what he was about, because he was up against a guy that was not there to roll over, that could take a shot, that was going to give it him back whenever he got the chance to, and put him under pressure. And so for Benn, he beat a Central Area champion. Remember, it doesn't matter about all the hurrah and all the noise about it, he's still a professional novice. So he's still going to learn his job. You just see the potential. So I think for Benn, I was glad for him to go through. And listen, I can remember Anthony Joshua when he boxed, when he stopped knocking people out every fight, people weren't happy. I'm thinking, come on, man, the guy's like still doing his job, getting the job done. Benn did his job, got in there, boxed excellently, sharp, smart. Never at any point did I think there was alert signals going on, and he did the job. Because he didn't knock the guy out, because he didn't mug him off and make him look as stupid as he has done previously, then I don't have a problem with that.
No,
because I want
you.
to see this young man at world level. And if you're going to be at world level, you need to be able to box at world level. So we've seen him learning on the job to be an excellent boxer.
Listen, I'm probably asking the wrong person here when I talk about showboating and whatnot, because that was from where you're from, the Ingle gym. That's what it was all about. That's all about getting inside the opponent's head. That's what people don't understand. Yeah. I said to Ben Whittaker in the week, I said to him about the showboating, you know, the last one where it went viral. I said, like, you know, what is all that about? And he said, look, it's not intentional. It just happens. And he goes, and the reason I'm doing this, he said, because it gets inside my opponent's head. He's then got a game plan. That goes out the window. Yeah. I've drawn him in. Boom, take him out. Yeah. He's made the fundamental mistake. So I totally understand it. But we live in a world of entertainment where people are absolutely loving this. You know, you look at yourself and you go back to Nazim Hamed and all the guys in your gym, and you just go like, that is what it's all about. Like, do you know what I mean? If you can back that up, and I think
it's show business.
I think he can back that up at a higher level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he's got to learn through it. So I understand, and that's why people need to get it. And unfortunately, he does all the good, but people are trying to pick out the bad, pick out the negative, pick out, oh God, did you hear what he said afterwards on social media? And I actually think with Ben is a very smart, calculated young man. He understands the business side of it, which is why he is the way he is. He understands the fight side of it. Talk about diversity. When he came out, they were doing the dance. That ring entrance was mad. All week long, he was doing his job, man. He was doing his job with the media and everything. Any little thing he said or didn't say, people were picking up on it, trying to read so much into it. And so I suppose it's like the tweet afterwards. People are trying to read into it. Yeah. I know we've got an excellent relationship with Ben. I know 99% of most of us are pushing there for Ben to either win or get knocked out, because that's what he's done. He's in evoking emotion. So for Ben, people need to concentrate on what this guy's actually doing, get behind him. And he actually doesn't mind people giving him stick.
I think actually, like, people have got to accept what it is and sit back and enjoy the ride, because, you know, these sort of talents only come along once in a while. Yeah. And like, you watch him, like I was watching him last night, and he was in a good against a good opponent there. People know he'd not heard his name, but he was a good opponent. And you look at that, and you listen to the sound of the punch that Ben's doing, and you look at the way he's setting traps, his boxing IQ, what he's doing, the way he's thinking. You go, this kid is a special talent. Not if he wins a world title, when he wins a world title, and that is what it is about that. It's not about when do they let him go? It's about how can they hold him back. That's for me. Yeah,
Spenny's a grafter. He's a grafter. He works really, really hard in the gym. I think that's probably why he gets so many injuries, because he's always in the gym. I know many fighters. I can remember speaking to Amir Khan once, and he told me after a fight he disappears and goes off. Naz used to do that. Harold Graham used to do that. I'm like, what? You know, disappear and then they come back to train 12 weeks for a fight. Ben Whittaker lives in the gym. So even though he makes it look easy as though it's no big deal, he works harder than the next man, than everybody else in the gym. So when he comes out, he makes out as though it looks easy.
Where does he go next? You know, I mean, he was talking about, like, you know, even when Joshua Buatsi was boxing Dan Aziz, he's going, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I fancy that. Like, you know, I fancy that now. I'll take the loser tomorrow. Like, where do you see him? How quick do they move him?
And if you're a fighter, if you talk that now, it happens within a year. But he doesn't happen automatically. But you've got to
could he do it in the next 12 months?
You've got to put your name in the same sentence. So when he's talking about Buatsi or Dan, you know, he's putting his name in that sentence. So all of a sudden the thought process is in our head. So people are thinking, yeah, down the line, it won't happen yet. I think Ben needs to again, like he gets against Willings, I think he needs a few of those to show his everything that is about him, his boxing ability, his stamina, his IQ, and then do it. But we're now talking about Ben and Boazzi, Ben and Aziz, which is a good thing. Because now the conversation there, the thought process is there. So he's doing the right things, the business side of this game.
Chris Kongo versus Florian. Marku was on the undercard as well.
Wicked.
What a fight. Again, lived up to the expectations. We saw the hype that's been building up for a couple of years now with these two going at each other. You know there was no love lost. For me, Chris Kongo kept his head well. It was a fight. It was always going to be a fight of two halves for me. And I thought that Chris Kongo was the one that would keep it long and start well. And Marku would come on in the second half of the fight, get closer, and then they'd ask Kongo the questions. Could you get through that? Could you bite down on your gum shield? Actually, it went the other way.
Yeah.
It was Kongo that took over in the second half of the fight, kept it long. Masterclass from him, showed that, you know, the game plan, stuck to the game plan, kept it good. I mean, that was a great performance, brilliant fight.
Spenny, I didn't think he'd be able to hold his shape.
But that's what I'm saying. I thought he would come apart at the back end.
Before the fight, I said to him, if you box him, pressure box him, you'll beat him. But Marku is very good at getting you involved in his anger, his energy. You know, he'll get in your face, he'll slap you, he'll push you before the fight. He needs to get you angry so you're fighting on emotion. And so I thought, and so when I asked what I thought, Marku, I don't think Kongo can hold it. If he holds his shape, he's got the beating ability of him. But has he got the discipline and experience to hold it together? Then it came to fight week. Fight week came, had the press conference, he turned up dressed like a preacher. He had that beautiful suit on, white shirt, big tie, sat there. Marku's trying to give him jib, trying to get him, draw him in, and he sat there like, yeah, he took the time, he drank the water, he didn't bite.
He was smooth, he was smooth.
Damn. And he just didn't bite. And you could see Marku trying everything, he's doing his karate style and everything to his face, and he wouldn't have it, and he just kept cool. And then the day after, when it came to the weigh-in, my man just switched on him.
He sort of, Marku got in his own head, really, didn't he? Because that's what it was. You're talking about mind games and how fights are won and lost before a fight. Kongo, where you thought, right, he's the quiet one. Marku's the one that normally gets inside the other guy's head. Actually, Kongo playing the quiet one was the one that actually it turned it on its head, didn't it?
It twisted him up. So when Kongo was quiet at first, and then after being quiet, what he did was at the weigh-in, and I watched him at the weigh-in. What he did when he switched him at the weigh-in and got in his face, Marku's like, I thought I'd shut you up yesterday. And then I see him just walk off. And Kongo was giving him stuff. And my man walked off to do an interview. And I thought, that's just shocked you, that.
Yeah.
And then I thought, this guy might have it together more than I think. The first half of the fight, Marku was trying to draw him in, and Kongo had to keep his shape, and he was struggling to keep his shape. Second half of the fight, he kept his shape. And his boxing pressure beat him. So that's why the only reason why I said I think Marku wins, because I wasn't sure that Kongo was capable of keeping his shape emotionally and physically. And when he did, after the fight, I said, you know what? I didn't think you'd be able to keep your shape. You kept your shape. If you give Marku enough time to think, then you've got a problem. If you give Marku the opportunity to get into his kind of mindset and you find an emotion, he's got you. I didn't think Kongo was capable of doing that. He proved it, and I thought he boxed brilliant.
He hit round 6 and he just got into a rhythm, didn't he? And that was the difference. And I'm with you. I just thought that Marku would be the one that come on late and would take over and close the gap and draw him into the fight that he wanted. But actually, Kongo, perfect game plan.
Maturity, massive maturity.
Johnny, we've got to talk about the heavyweights that weren't seen last night, actually. Alen Babic and Steve Robinson. I mean, it was always going to be an exciting fight. It was always going to be a fun fight. The build-up was always great. Steve Robinson, 6'7", looks like Ivan Drago, you know, and he really fancied the fight. And Alen Babic coming off that loss to Lucas Rosansky, and you go like, this is a must-win fight for both these guys. They're both coming on losses. They're both big characters, but the fight, again, lived up to all expectation. I mean, Babic put in a brilliant performance, winning in that 4th round. You
know, usually when we put a show on, and there's the undercard that people don't see on TV, we're in the back getting makeup, chatting, talking about the show. And once this show was put together, I wanted to be out there from the off. 10 to 5, Babic and Robinson went out there. I thought, I need to see this fight. I need to see this fight because both characters were, Robinson, tense. He wants proof. He wants people to believe, I'm not a footballer, I'm a fighter. I'm having some of this, no nonsense, big handsome fella, Babic, from being that growling animal, that caveman. And I think having to eat humble pie when he got turned over last April in the first round, now you could see there was a difference about him. And so these two guys got in the ring. I think Babic did what Babic does. He stayed in your face, kept tight, kept putting Robinson under pressure. Robinson fought with his heart. And I really respect Robinson's heart, guts, cojones, everything about him. My problem was his corner. His corner were far too brave for his own good, and he was getting battered, getting hit to the head to a point where this boy was out on his feet, then knocked back unconscious again, And I thought, I'm looking at the corner thinking, what are you doing? Round after round, and Robinson's heart for sticking it out and thinking, even fighting when he's gone, and then getting punch conscious again and fighting again, and Babic was just in his face. What a fight.
Yeah.
And people were so emotional. Rings are like, stop him, don't send him out again.
We was doing the same.
Back out. Steve Robinson's mom, I think it was an auntie was behind us. And I'm not shouting in case you some, but these kind of things ruin fighters for life. These kind of things in 5-10 years' time, that's when you suffer the consequences. I know fighters that are walking about today, currently, and I'm seeing the deterioration of it. So when I see that, I'm always on the fighter's side. So when I saw that, I thought, you lot should be ashamed of yourself that are in his corner. You should be ashamed of yourself because this boy was getting battered.
Yeah.
Right? And Brendan always said, boxing's the only place you can legally get killed. And what I saw there, I thought, you are crucifying this young man. What a fight. It was exciting. It had everything it lived up to, every expectation. Loved the fight, but that corner where they were idiots.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was like, it was always going to be a good old-fashioned bar brawl, wasn't it? Like, forget the technical side. That's not what these guys are all about. They get in there and they're entertainment, they roll the dice. Defensively, not particularly great, but Babic, we know, will just keep going. Forget the Rosansky loss. That was down at Bridgerweight. I spoke to him. I went in the dressing room, actually. Steve Collins, Dillian Whyte, and whatnot. We was in there, and I could see that he was more focused. He was better. He was at his weight that he should be. Yeah. When he boxed Rosansky and he lost to Rosansky, he was weight drawn. And when you're weight drawn, that punch resistance goes, and that was clear in that fight. Up at heavyweight here, he's a different animal. And I think that's what we saw there. Yeah. And I think that you're right in what you say there. After the second round, he went back, Robinson. The corner need to pull him out now. He's gone. And he's taking shots that he shouldn't be taking. Then he comes out for the third round. And then he goes back again for the third round. You go, now it's becoming uncomfortable. You go, sometimes a corner can be too brave for their own good. We've got to think about the fighter and that position. I get it was a great entertainment, but we're looking at the other side of it where you go, come on, it started becoming uncomfortable.
And listen, I might be throwing the corner under the bus, and Steve Robinson might have said to him, no matter what, don't throw me out.
Yeah.
Don't pull me out. And that's it. Then they stand to the corner's responsibility to do what's best for the fighter. Pascal Collins, who trains Babic, he said that all I had to change was his feet. He had no feet, he had no footage. His hand-for-eye coordination was terrible. And what you see is what you get. He's entertaining. The press conference was entertaining. The fight was entertaining. And it was such a shame he put that fight on then. But he had to go on at some point. So what a night of boxing. The whole night, another fight just before we move on, Lowell against Vidal Riley.
Yeah.
That seemed a little flat, but it was a maturing fight for Vidal Riley because he was in with somebody that was experienced, who was former British champion, and we thought it might be a shutout job, but Vidal had to find something out about himself. He thought, I've got to box him, I've got to show patience.
Had to stay disciplined was the key there.
Disciplined. So there was frustration from his corner, there was frustration from the fans, because we're used to seeing this from Vidal. But you've got to sometimes lose a battle to win a war. So do your job, win the job, and then move on to do bigger things.
Right, Johnny, superb, wasn't it? What is all that about? He's a proper character. Anyone who doesn't know Joseph Parker on a personal level, like we do, you go, one of the nicest human beings you'll meet. He's just everything about him. But then videos, he's done them in lockdown, didn't he? And he's just done this one here, saying that, he wants Dillian Whyte again and everything else. Smart move, by the way, because Dillian, with the troubles that he's had one fight since he come back, a three-round victory with an opponent that didn't really want to fight. So the ring rust will still be there. Parker's got some momentum now. Smart move to call that and try and get that rematch back on.
Well, first of all, thank you, Joseph Parker, for putting me in a position to say, actually, I take that. So
Yeah.
he likes him. So, and I like him too. I'm not ashamed
Are you
of
a
saying that.
Take That fan?
Yeah, man, I am now. So I ain't ashamed of that. So he is. So and I thought,
Do you put that Bob Marley stuff away and get
I'm singing along to it. I'm like, yes. But when he put it together, I said, who has done this for him? And I just laughed, man. I thought, and he's in boxing, you've got characters. You've got ones with chip on their shoulders. You've got one that thinks everybody hates them. They've got ones that are just stupid and stuff. He's one of the nicest guys in boxing that actually still boxes. He's one of the nicest guys that you think you want good for him. And remember when he came on the scene and he boxed AJ, former, and you thought that was that him dipping his toe in the water to introduce himself to us all. I like everything about this man. And there's a Latin saying, I can't.
Do you know what people forget about Parker though? Like, because you think he's been around so long, because you go back to the AJ days and everything else, and you go, like, now he's sort of come into his own, and you go, wow, he seems like he's gone through the gears, he's developed those last couple of fights, the performance against Wilder. He's only 31 years of age. Yeah. He's actually just hitting his peak.
There's a Latin saying, and translated, it's enjoy the success of others. And I love seeing the success of Joseph Parker. I love the fact that he beat Zhang. I love the fact that he beat Wilder. I love the fact that he's put himself in a position where he's come afloat, because most fighters, once they get turned over from AJ, they're gone, they just disappeared. And to do that, it showed a very relaxed, smart, sharp cookie. I saw Dillian actually. Spoke to Dillian, what you doing? He said, I might fight in America. He's spending a lot of time out there. But as you say, that's a massive bonus thrown for him.
Has he thrown him a bone?
Yeah, oh man, he's definitely thrown him a bone, because that fight, you know, he plays it right. That fight could happen on the bills in Saudi again, and for good money. Again, I love the fact that fighters are making dough and in a position to do that. So, and I think Dillian would take that, because Dillian, like, he ain't backing down from nobody.
Who wins?
Wow, and that's.
I know that's a tough question.
I'll tell you why it's a tough question, because Dillian's been out the ring for so long. His last performance looked out of shape. You don't know what he was on. For Joseph Parker, he's now on a roll against fighters. Whereas I'm trying to figure out, is it a false economy? Because when we saw him in against Wilder wasn't the fighter he was. But he got the one. He got in there against Zhang. Zhang didn't come out of gear, he just stayed in one gear. So I need to know if Parker's on a roll and he's getting better, or he's catching people at the right time, and is this the number one of those opportunities? So it's very hard and unfair to answer that fairly, because we don't know where both fighters are currently.
It's a great contest for both guys, right?
But great contest, and outside like world contention. You know, again, we saw domestic fights. We saw, you know, just outside the world contention fights. This is one of them, and I love the fight. I think it was brilliant. That will go viral, man. Go viral.
Listen, Fury Usyk undercard has been confirmed. Before we get into that, have you heard anything? Last time you was on the show, you give us some great inside information about Tyson Fury, what was going on inside the camp and whatnot. Anything going on now? Heard anything through the grapevine?
I'll tell you what. Do you want to know?
Come on, Johnny boy,
do you want to know who the mole is? Do you want to know who the mole is?
Absolutely, yeah. Come on.
His dad and his brother. They are the mole.
Wow.
Because you listen. I said nothing. His dad hasn't said. I said nothing. His brother hasn't said. Okay, I might have sprinkled a bit of seasoning on it. But what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, right? His dad. It's on record. His dad said this. You know, the people that are in the camp. The camp's this, that, and the other. It's on record. His brother said there's too many bike slappers there. I know the in that camp, and they're justifying their job, and they're whispering stuff.
Wait, so they're walking around trying to find out who the mole is, and the mole is actually right there.
That's the mole. And you know what I mean? And so I just think to myself, yo, listen to what you're saying. Tyson's not an idiot. Yeah. But Tyson he's the head of the snake. So they've all got to be good and behave themselves, because they want to stay on that payroll. So they're going to tell him what they think, you know, to ingratiate themselves around him. His brother and his dad, they're his people. And they don't like the people that are around there, and they're not happy. But then people that are around there thinking, I'm getting picked good here, so I'm going to tell you what you want. I don't dislike Tyson Fury. I just call out his BS. I don't dislike him. But those people around are saying, Johnny Nelson this, Johnny Nelson that. I don't dislike Tyson Fury, because I think he's the best heavyweight in the world. But you've got people in your ear chatting foolishness in your ear just to make you that fits their agenda. Listen to your dad. Listen to your brother. They are the ones that speaking the truth of the people that are around you. They're the moles. So, and that's the mic drop. They're the moles. And so I just think to myself, wow, it's that so simple. What is going on? All of a sudden, people think, oh my God, I know who the mole is. It's you. No, it's not. No, it's in-house, man.
Yeah, listen, what are you making of Fury in this training camp? Yeah, I mean, he looks in good shape. Have you heard anything? If it's, is the sparring going? Is he back in sparring even yet? I mean, because that could be a big problem, Johnny. Going into a fight of this magnitude against Oleksandr Usyk, the cut we know was bad. So his training's going well. You've got to be fight fit, for the timing, for everything. Do you know what I mean? For the boxing awareness, you have to do the sparring. Is he back in sparring yet?
I would listen. We did a lot of body sparring in our gym, and that.
Will he be doing that?
Yeah, and I think if he's not doing that, he should be doing that. If he's not doing any sparring, that's what he should be doing. I think that if he's doing that, then he's still keeping himself fight fit to just step it up and transfer it from head to body. Because we used to body spar all the way through until about 3 weeks before a fight. Then we'd open spar. And the skill, our gym is known for that skill because you're looking to not hit your hands on the elbows or on the shoulder and you get through the guard. So you're still working, you're doing the body spar. That's what you should be doing. Don't know if that's what he is doing. Condition-wise, day and night, you look at this condition of Tyson Fury to the Tyson Fury's condition when he got in with Ngannou. You know the boy's trained. Yeah. I know his dietitian don't take no foolishness and say, because if he's cheating and not sticking to his diet, the dietitian will move up and say, yo, I'm out because my name's on this. So now looking at him, he looks on point, looks how he should look. Now, we've got to assess where he is. We've got to assess how he is, and in my head, I always said naturally he's the best heavyweight in the world, and not always said it. He's got himself to that point. Yeah. So now the best version of Tyson Fury should get that job done. And Oleksandr Usyk is a brilliant fighter, but Tyson Fury is a bigger version of Oleksandr Usyk.
Listen, so many ifs and buts surrounding this, like you say about Tyson Fury, where he's at for the training camps. Has he had the right sparring? The adaptability. Can he still move the way he used to move? Can he pull it on him? So many ifs and buts. We know Oleksandr Usyk. We know he's the ultimate professional. We know that he'll be in shape. Forget that he's a couple of years older than Fury. This kid lives the life. And so they're at that stage of their careers, you go, that the wheels could come off at any time. Yes. Because they've been around a long time. It's like an intriguing fight. Look, moving on from that, the undercard. The undercard has been announced. Turki Al-Sheikh, I know, has been annoyed at some of the criticism saying that the undercard has been, not what was expected. I mean, what do you make of it? Jai Opetaia versus Marius Briedis 2. The first fight, if anyone hasn't seen that, where Jai Opetaia won the fight on a split decision, broke his jaw in the process. Unbelievable fight. That ain't a bad chief support.
And Spenny, I like Turki Al-Sheikh's passion, and he takes his personal, because what he's doing is he's giving the fight fans what they want. He's getting fighters work and they're getting paid. So why are we complaining about it's this, that, and the other? There's no complaint there, as far as I'm concerned. So now let's look at the business. The business of the show, of the fighters, and these fights that are happening. These are good fights. Regardless of anything else outside the ring, these are good fights that I'd like to see. That could create controversial conversation, and at least it clears things up. So these are good fights, and so I think we're all in for a treat, and the fighters are getting paid.
Listen, another show that has been made now. They've been announced is the 5 versus 5 on the undercard of Bivol versus Beterbiev, June the 1st. I mean, they haven't announced the fights yet. April the 15th, I think they're doing a press conference in London to announce the fights. Now, I took a little bit of last week, a little bit of stick off people on comments saying, what are you talking about, mate? Because I know a couple of the fights that are happening. Zhale Zhang versus Deontay Wilder, and people going, what are you talking about, mate? Deontay Wilder's not even with Matchroom, he's not even with Queensberry. Well, guess what? He's signing a one-fight deal, so
you tell him,
that seems to be likely. Zhale Zhang is with Queensberry. I'm just saying, so if I'm proved right, please send me some love. Send me some love for knowing that, for giving you the inside information, because that's what we're doing, mate. That's what we're doing. Obviously, we've got other good fights in there as well. Daniel Dubois, Filip Hrgovic. That is for the vacant IBF title. Thank you. Yeah, but you know what I mean? Thank you. So, we get but trust in the process. The little man knows. I mean, what else have you heard, Johnny?
You know what? I actually thought the devil's in the details. So when we in the UK are hearing this, Frank and Eddie are going to go up against each other. We're thinking of domestic you know, UK fighters that they're familiar with. These are they're international. But they're putting one UK fighter may fight an international fighter, and really I'd like to see, I don't know, Tyson Fury against an Anthony Joshua. That's 2 English fighters that's going through. So the devil's in the details. So this can happen, this will happen, but how does it affect the business of the homegrown business? Does it affect it massively? I'd just like to see how that pans out. I'd just like to see, would we see Anthony Yarden against Smith?
Yeah.
You know, they're British fighters.
Yeah,
these are fighters that mean a lot more to us, but on an international scale, that's the fan base they're catering for. So I just need to see when the final names are out there, who's final, and they're still good fights.
Yeah.
I think Dubois against Ergovic is still a good fight.
Yeah, great fight.
I think Wilder against Lang is a good fight on an international level. On a domestic level, you know, it depends on who you can. On a domestic level, it's a good fight, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, what's it mean to us?
Yeah. Well, listen, mate, I think it's been an absolutely great show.
Always is, my friend.
Absolutely great show. Good information. Give yourself a pat on the back. And guys, until next time, make sure you tune in.